Hello, and welcome back to Barn and Soul, where we explore the deep connections between humans, animals, and the land. I'm Kendall, and today I have a question for you. When you hear the word endangered, what comes to mind? Maybe tigers stalking through rainforests, or polar bears clinging to shrinking ice. But what if I told you that right here, not in faraway jungles, but on farms, pastures, and tiny homesteads, entire breeds of animals are disappearing quietly, sometimes faster than wildlife? Today, we're digging into a part of conservation that doesn't get nearly enough love or attention, which is protecting endangered farm breeds. We'll explore why it happens, how these breeds get classified, and how passionate farmers, conservationists, and even people like you are helping to save living history, one animal at a time. So why are these old farm breeds even endangered in the first place? A lot of it comes down to how farming changed after the Industrial Revolution, and especially after World War II. Mass production became king. Farmers needed animals that could grow faster, produce more meat, lay more eggs, and so single super breeds were selected over and over. An example, today, 99% of commercial chicken in the US come from just two hybrid lines. And so efficiency has won, but there is a cost. We have lost regional diversity, breeds that have been carefully adapted to local climates, tough terrains, and even the diseases unique to their area. When those breeds weren't economically efficient, and that's in quotes, they were abandoned, and their numbers started free falling. As cities grew and as farms shrank, small family herds and backyard flocks gave way to huge specialized operations. Mixed flocks, family cows, heritage pigs, they practically disappeared almost overnight. And so the result is that by the year 2000, the UN estimated that over 1,350 livestock breeds were at risk of extinction worldwide. Today, they say we lose about one or two livestock breeds every single month. And it's a quiet crisis. Think about why that would be. Obviously, well, I'm not going to go there. You can imagine why it would be quiet, but nonetheless, it's real. So, how do we even know when a breed is endangered? Organizations like the Livestock Conservancy here in the US have clear conservation categories, kind of like endangered species lists, but for farm animals. So here's the general breakdown. The category goes from critical, threatened, watch, recovering to study, okay? Critical being the worst and study being under review. So if a breed is classified as being critical, then you should know that means that there's a global population of fewer than 2,000 of that breed. That also likely means that there's fewer than what we call annual registrations of that breed. There's fewer than 200 of them every year. If it's threatened, that means there's likely a global population of 5,000 or fewer, with annual registrations of 1,000 or fewer. As we get to watch, that would be there's like 10,000 or less, with roughly 2,500 annual registrations any given year. And then with recovering and study, those are stable, but they're monitored. That's recovering especially. And then study is just perhaps they're seeing the numbers starting. The trend is resembling that of other animals further up the category status. So yeah, there's a whole hierarchy that they're all watching out for. So real examples from our own farm family: critical Arapawa Island goats. I have several videos on them at this point, and I'll be making more. And I have to address this and both apologize. I cannot get a firm number on how many there really are of these goats. I can tell you there's definitely fewer than 2,000 in the whole world. I'm going to look into this further, is basically what I'm saying, but I can't get a concrete number. I can just tell you that there are roughly between 200 and 300 registered worldwide annually. The last I heard was that the New Zealand populations were doing more stable, but then the global were somehow struggling more, which is not great. So, yeah. Another Dalby example would be the Ossabaw Island hogs. They say there are about 2,000 of them globally in the world, with fewer than 200 annual registrations every year. The American blue rabbit is a recent addition to our farm, and they, again, sit on that fine line between threatened and watch. They have roughly 2,500 annual registrations, so that does put them at the very cusp of being considered recovering, but they're not quite there yet. Another example of recovering / study would be, and again, it's another breed that if you've been following me, then you're probably getting familiar with this one. The Australorp chicken was definitely on the brink at one point. It was it was famous for being a really good egg-laying hen, and to tell you what, it still is a great egg-laying hen. But it was on the brink of extinction, but that has since changed, and it's not even considered recovering. I do believe it's technically considered a graduate, so that's cool. Yeah. So now you're wondering, okay, I get, you probably have a rough sense or understanding of how we determine their status, but then how do we save them? So it's not just about keeping a few of the pretty farm animals around the way that we do it. It really is serious, thoughtful work, and it does happen usually in 3 major steps to break it down and simplify it if we want to, which we will for the purposes of this episode. So step 1 would be documentation. You can't save what you don't know exists. So breed associations form to track pure lineages, setting up breed standards and historical records. So for example, the American chinchilla rabbit, a breed you'll find here at Dalby, almost vanished in the late 20th century until dedicated breeders formed rescue networks to rebuild the population. Step 2 would be stewardship breeding. So breeders work carefully to maximize genetic diversity while preserving the traits that made each breed special. They track bloodlines and sometimes, use artificial insemination to prevent inbreeding and to boost healthy populations. The FAO's State of the World's Animal Genetic Resources of 2007 says, quote, "A genetically narrow population is more vulnerable to disease, infertility, and even collapse." Step 3 is where I feel we relate the most to the rescue component, and that's public awareness. Saving a breed, it doesn't work. It can't happen if nobody knows or cares about them. So, It's good to see farmers, educators, and even chefs start to find ways for heritage breeds to continue to play important roles in their communities, and we are one of them. I do get a lot of puzzled expressions. They think I'm misspeaking when I say that that Sheldon is the rarest goat in the world. They look at me like, "What is that? What do you mean?" I'm like, well, his breed almost went extinct. And that does not compute because they see a goat and they just think goat. And look, I I don't judge because I'm somebody who literally grew up on this farm. It is all I know. And I thoroughly believe that I take a lot of information for granted, and what might seem as basic or common sense to me and my family is like outer space to others, and I am sensitive to that, and that's part of why this podcast even exists, particularly this episode. So public awareness, hi, welcome to this podcast. That is step 3 in how we save breeds. And so again, that part where I said you're involved, well, you're listening, right? So you're hearing the words. I'm not saying you're going to go out and save goats now. I'm not saying you're going to go do anything differently. I'm not necessarily telling you to, but being aware of the whole picture, when you go to that market, understanding that the chicken you're buying is probably the same hybrid one I'm talking about here that is replacing other ones that have been around for centuries or whatever it may be. I don't like to be preachy. I'm not here to tell you what to do. But anybody whose mind is open to understanding what's going on around them, even if it doesn't directly affect them today, tomorrow, or next month, next year, I want to find those people, because it can't be a bad thing to have information, and it can't be a bad thing to have awareness. And if you were able to change one thing or tell one person who might change one thing, I just think that's truly the foundation of a better future. So I kind of got onto a tangent over there. I kind of ranted a little bit. If you ever meet me in person, I will probably do something like that. It's out of passion, so maybe that's why I get the puzzled look I was talking about. Maybe you're making one right now. But why it matters. Why should we care about some old goat breed or a rabbit nobody's ever heard of? And there are honestly multiple answers to that, but I'll give you 2 big reasons right now. And the first is genetic diversity equals food security, right? When you rely on only a few super optimized breeds, you're playing a dangerous game. Don't keep all your eggs in one basket, right? So climate change, disease, and pests could literally wipe out major livestock lines fast. You have seen what a pandemic does in real time to human life, but imagine, well, it happens, but you don't hear about it a lot. But anyway, ranting again. But the point is that heritage breeds often have the hardiness and genetic traits needed for survival. Another big reason as to why it matters is cultural history. Every rare breed is a living story of immigration, of indigenous ingenuity, of communities adapting to their environment. Losing them means losing centuries of knowledge and resilience. It feels so silly. It'd be like setting, dictionaries and books and all these other things on fire because we have computers. Ooh, what if the computers break? So why would you dispose of these resources if you don't have to? We're getting too comfortable is basically what I'm saying. So heritage breeds, the animals are often healthier, they are longer lived, and better suited for sustainable farming. A win for the planet and for animal welfare. Saving rare farm breeds isn't just about nostalgia. It is about ensuring that future generations have real choices and resilient animals ready for whatever the world may throw at them. Here at Dalby Farm, every Arapawa goat, every Ossabaw Island hog, every Shetland sheep, they're not just residents, even though they don't pay any bills to be here. They're living treasures, and in saving them, we save something a little bigger. Few things in my life have carried more meaning than connecting with an animal that would have otherwise, I don't know. I don't know what would have happened to the animals that are with us, but I know that the ones that are here have hit a lottery. They are loved and treated as pets, every single one of them. They get names. There's just routines and lives built around them. When you come to my farm, sure, I want you to have a great time. I want you to have meaningful experiences around these animals, but it will not be at their expense. Their experience and their comfort and their needs are as important as yours. And I'm not sorry about that. That is something I am proud of, because you can see it in the demeanor of our animals. You can see we're a family. They will run to you. They want to know you. They want the snacks you're going to give them. And I cherish it. It's tons of work. It puts a lot of strain on my family. We are pretty much entirely run by the family. And it's not without a lot of time, work, and sacrifice on numerous levels. But again, it does fill our hearts with fulfillment. It feels like our legacy. It feels like we are doing something that really does matter on a number of fronts. And for that, it feels worth every moment of sweat, blood, tears, and all the other things. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please share, leave a comment, maybe a question I can answer in a future episode. Subscribe to the channel, the whole deal. And of course, you can visit dalbyfarm.com. We do ship nationwide. Our country store has something for everybody. So I hope, and please know that all purchases, I believe it's at least 50% of each and every purchase goes directly back to the care and upkeep of this family farm. So we thank you very much. I hope this finds you well, and we'll see you next time. Oh, and don't forget to appreciate the rare and wonderful things in life.